Have you ever driven through a neighborhood and noticed that one home seems to sell right away and another one seems to sit on the market for months at a time? Maybe you've thought that it was luck. I mean, basically, aren't all these homes the same? Here in Southwest Broward, it's kind of cookie cutter, so they tend to be, the variations are not extreme from one to the next. So you could kind of assume that they're very similar or close to being the same type of property. And again, sometimes we look at it and we think it's luck. Truth is, it's not. There's a lot of strategy that goes into this. And what I want to do is go over the 5 main points of what helps sell a property quick. My name's Tony Navarro. I've been a realtor here in Southwest Broward for the last 23 years. And I've picked up a lot of little pieces of information and nuggets that I want to share with you to make sure you're aware of to help you maximize the sale of your house in the least amount of time possible. So we're going to touch on the 5 subjects. It's very basic stuff, but I just want to go through it one piece at a time with you. The number one thing is pricing. Pricing is crucial. We are in a market that's basically at this point, here we're sitting in August of 2026, and the market's kind of transitioning. It has been for the last probably 12 months or so, going from a seller's market to more of a balanced, if not downright buyer's market. Without getting too complicated, this just has to do with days of inventory, months of supply. And what we're seeing is certain types of properties are really struggling to sell. Again, out here in this Southwest Broward corridor, the houses have aged. I mean, most of these communities are getting close to 30 plus years at this point. So a house that has not been, say, updated is a different story than a house that has. Actually, I have a video on my channel. Go take a look at that. It's an interesting case study. But back to what we're talking about here today, pricing. Pricing is so crucial. The days of you coming into the market and pricing the property like well above what you really feel it's going to come down to in the hopes of negotiating and giving yourself that cushion, that's a no-no nowadays. You'd be shocked how often, and I hate to say this, but some of my fellow realtors will even use that logic with you and say, let's price it here and we always have room to go down. You're just not going to get the foot traffic. If it's not properly priced, meaning if you're not really within that sweet spot of where around the property is going to actually close, you're not going to get as many eyeballs on the property. And the main thing that we want to do is price drives traffic. We need traffic through the doors because there's something about each house that's unique that pulls at someone's heartstrings and makes them fall in love with the property. But if the property was priced at a point where they never even considered it and came to look at it, you're missing out on those. So please don't go with that thought process. I think you'd be, more often than not, my sellers are shocked at how little the margin is that we're off on the price. Sometimes it's actually the margin goes up a hair, but we're right around there. I mean, I'm running at probably about 2.5% of asking price on most of my listings. So it's not a huge drop. And that gets skewed. I've sold a few condos, and it's a different story for a different day. But that'll kind of bring the numbers down. Otherwise, we'd probably be closer to 1%. So again, price is a huge part of this. You definitely want to take all the data into account and make sure you come up with a very competitive price in this market. The number 2 thing that affects the sale of a property are the first impressions. This goes from basically the sidewalk, the curb appeal of the property, all the way through how it shows. The main thing is that nowadays, I think the last I saw the number was close to 94% of home buyers are initiating their search online. Okay, so you got people coming into these different platforms to look at properties. Professional photography is no longer a luxury, it's a must. And I mean real professional photography. We were talking about making videos that we can post on different social media sites, reels that we can do, drone shots, 3D floor plans. I mean, we really are having to, as a realtor, that's an expense that we incur. We're really having to step up on that and put the best foot forward. Okay, it has to be done, and I am talking almost like HGTV type of stuff. Like, it's not just pictures. God forbid, I mean, please, if you have a realtor that's coming out and they're bringing their own camera or even worse, their iPhone and trying to take pictures of that and putting that online for you, it's destroying your first impression. The first impression is not the people driving up to the front of the house and looking at it from the curb. They're doing this cross country, different countries, internationally. South Florida, it's a very international market. People are starting their search from a continent away, and they're doing it online, and they want to see these pictures. So the pictures have to be right on point. Anyway, enough about that. Number 3, as I mentioned, marketing is crucial. We are now in a market where realtors as myself, the ones that we're having success in this market is because we've really fine-tuned that, and we're truly marketers. It's no longer, again, of just sticking this property on the multiple listing service and hoping that other agents bring us the buyers. We have to aggressively go out there. I mentioned as far as in the photography, in the impression of the property, the condition of it is also that. It's the platforms that we go on. We have to market it on different platforms. I mean, I'm talking YouTube, Homes.com, Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia. It needs to be basically everywhere. It needs to be to where if someone's looking for a property in your community or considering your town, whether that's Pembroke Pines, West Miramar, Davie, Weston, whatever they're looking at, your property needs to pop on every single website. Above and beyond that, we can do some targeted marketing. I mean, we can go out to where the buyers that are buying in this area are coming from. Okay, we have the analytics these days, and there's technology has changed the ballgame. I can take a property that I know this community, I can find the demographics as to who would be the probable buyer, and I can market across back to them on different platforms, Facebook, again, Instagram, all the different social media. Anyway, marketing right now is crucial. If you don't have a good marketing team behind you on your sale of your property, you're going to leave thousands of dollars on the table. That I can assure you of that. Number 4, this is the condition of the property. Okay, and I actually have, again, I hate to keep referring to other videos that I have, but I have a video in which I mentioned, I don't want to say it's a phenomenon, it's kind of a common thing. We call it we become house blind to small issues. You know what I'm talking about here. I mean, let's say the rear door or the door into the garage, you kind of have to wiggle it and kind of like give it a shove, just, right around knee height for it to really open. Otherwise, it feels like it's jammed. It's granted, we all live with little things like this in our homes, but these are things that to a potential buyer they can make a big deal out of it. Even though you and I both know it's not, a buyer can make it like their whole platform. They're going to stand on this. They're going to preach that this is going to be an expense. And even more so where, I don't want to sound one-sided on that, so forget that they can make a stand on it. The way that they're going to look at it, which I can't almost flaw them, and you might look at something like this, is if they're letting those little things go and not taken care of, are they really taking care of the big stuff? You see, perception is reality. So a buyer might come in and say, like, wow, there's all these little things that are wrong with it. Maybe these people don't really take care of their air conditioner. Maybe they don't take care of their water heater, and whatever. They can come up with whatever excuse they want. Now, I have a full array of different service vendors that we can use that I can recommend to kind of take care of all the small little things. What I am suggesting to most sellers, in this market, especially out in this corridor in Southwest Broward, again, because of the age of the properties, is that we do what's called a pre-inspection. This is an awesome tool. We do a pre-inspection. We get someone out here. They will kind of look at all the big stuff and let us know if there's any major problems with the house. Not that we have to take care of the major problems, but it's good to know. We will negotiate that, obviously, down the road if there is something big. But we'll know all the small stuff, and then think of how cool this is that we can hand the potential buyer, like, hey, here's an inspection report. We did it on such a date. These are the things they found. These are the things we took care of to this point. Peace of mind. I'm not saying that they're not going to do an inspection. They're actually required to get their own 4-point inspection for insurance purposes, but that's neither here nor there. Just think of the peace of mind. The best thing I can kind of equate it to is think of back 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I'm not sure how far back, there was no such thing as Carfax when you went to go buy a used car. Now there's a Carfax that'll tell you, hey, this car was in an accident such a year and this and that. So that brings peace of mind when you're buying an automobile. Think of how much peace of mind that would bring to a potential buyer for a property. Again, so that's a big one for me. And number 5, obviously, I think it's making sure you select the right listing agent. I've been going at this for a while now, and I tend to, as I've mentioned in the past, I tend to really help mostly boomers and older Generation Xers like myself, so I can respect and I realize the importance of the sale of this property. It tends to be either we're kind of going into retirement years, and this is the biggest part of our nest egg for some of us, or at least a very large part of it, the equity that we've built in our homes over the last 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years in some cases. Maybe you're downsizing, and again, we need to maximize equity so that the property that you're going into right now can be paid off. What I'm saying is that the fact that you're trying to sell for top dollar is clear. It's a clear picture to me. The right listing agent will take that into account. The right agent is not necessarily looking just to get a sale out of you and kind of move on. I just know the importance of getting this done and getting it done right. Hence the fact that you also want someone that's kind of a market expert in this. You don't want someone that works in a completely different marketplace, but they're a friend of a friend, and you kind of decided to hire them, and they're going to come up this way where they come into, say, Southwest Broward once every 3 months. I mean, I've taken listings in Homestead, and to be fair, sometimes I'll refer it to an agent that specializes in that area because I know they can probably do a better job at servicing that seller. I think it's the same thing. There's got to be there is value to using an agent that knows how to market the property correctly, that's very familiar with the communities, with the marketplace as a whole. And I keep referring to, say, Southwest Broward, this whole corridor from Weston, Davie, Miramar, Cooper City, Pembroke Pines. I mean, we can count Plantation in there, some Sunrise. This is one, we get one certain kind of buyer coming into this area. So you want someone that's very familiar with it, someone that's got experience, someone that has a proven track record, someone that's willing to have maybe uncomfortable conversations with you. That's the one thing I make sure I take pride in it. I will tell you what needs to be said. It might not be what you want to hear, but you don't necessarily always go with someone that tells you what you want to hear, right? If you go to a doctor and they give you a certain diagnosis and you're not happy with it, you don't just switch doctors until you find someone that tells you, hey, don't worry about it. Like, you're borderline diabetic and just keep eating ice cream. You're good. No, you want to listen to the people that are giving you the right advice. And not that I'm comparing myself to a doctor, please. I'm just saying we bring value with our knowledge, and it's important you pick the right realtor. Anyway, I kind of went off on a rant there. Sorry about that. I want to provide more videos like this. Please, if there's some sort of topic that you would like me to cover that I can go into detail about, that you're curious about, as always, subscribe if you want. Put the comments in there. Let me know what it is. If you are thinking about possibly selling your property and want to get a better idea of what you could get in today's market, or if you're thinking of selling the property down the road, I do this all the time. I meet with people that are sometimes not going to be selling for 3, 4, 5 years. I met someone that we didn't sell for 10 years down the road, but we got our game plan together, and we kind of came up with a good idea of how we were going to go about getting it done. So I'm here for you. If you want, reach out. Please write in the comments if I can get you some information into something that you're interested in hearing about. I will talk to you guys soon.